When I left you guys last time, we put sheep over here down this little alleyway. I got Sammer up in the sky today. Sarah's gonna help me run these guys. I want to run these sheep across the farm. Thought it might be fun to get them on the move here. I do have an encouraging word for you today. I got this written on the back of a hardware store receipt for you here. Proverbs 21:19. Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. So many opportunities coming our way nowadays with these animals and the shift, the paradigm shift that we're seeing in agriculture, and it's super exciting. But the Lord directs our path. He's the one that determines where this goes. We're going to lean in and have the faith to believe that today. I hope that encourages you. Let's get these guys on the move. And again, these are our mamas. That man, they're coming hard. Okay, we're going up that way, mamas. Come on. And I'm gonna try not running them too hard here. And need to run them around. You guys know from that last video that we got that scraggler back there. She's a call, but she did throw a little ram lamb this year. Sarah up there on the corner protecting Mama's gardens. I get my tail kicked if I get in there on her gardens. Yeah, they're gonna stop and get into this good stuff here. There you go, Ev. Watch that opening there. Okay, so this is where we want to be. We're going over here on the north side of this, what we call the hay barn. Maybe, why don't we run these guys in and then I'll go back for her. A little bit of mulberry tree leaf eating there. Mulberry is a safe one for sheep. At least that's what we've discovered. There's obviously something there in those leaves that they're liking and needing. And I would love it if they would hit this fence row here. I need to go down there and get all the brush out of that fence row. That's been neglected this year. If they would eat it, that would be great. So we're going right in that corner there. And then we'll talk a little bit about stock density. I'm gonna try and stay on this side of them, keep them going that direction. Sarah's running them up there from behind. Good deal. Come on, sheeps, let's go. Liking that stuff. Getting into that fence row. Overgrowth there. Come on, sheeps. Let's go. And there it is. Okay. Are you able to stay with them here, Sarah? Okay, just talking about this section we're coming on to here. So a very, very small section on the north side of our hay barn. I've got this electronet around the outside. This 2-wire electric will not hold them by any stretch of the imagination when you get your stock density up. That's why I have a real problem with the grazers out there touting the single wire hot for sheep. If you've got tons and tons of acreage and you've got them spread out and you've got a lot for them to eat, sure, not gonna matter. But when you clamp them down, you try and get a good stock density and a good graze, ain't no way two wires are keeping them in, let alone one. So it depends on your stock density there. Know that bit of context. But I would say here we're on, I ran the math here, we're 1/10 to 1/12 of an acre, means about 40 to 60,000 pounds per acre live weight that we're gonna run here. I mean, look at what they're getting into already. A bunch of chicory here. We got some burdock in here. Look at the thistle. I mean, that thing is out of control. Totally neglected this space this year. But that's okay. We've seen them eat thistle, and I was going to come in here with the bush hog, but with that big bush hog, it's going to be tight swinging that thing around in here, you know, up by the barn and the fences and everything else. I thought, you know what? Let's bring the sheep in. We got a little bit of shade here on the north side of this building. That'll be good for them. And let's see what they can do here on this, you know, 41 ewes. I'm assuming we got about 4,000 pounds of live weight. Maybe not quite that. But what are we going to need here? We're going to need 3.5% of body weight in dry matter per day. So we need about 140 pounds of dry matter per day. If you take that number 300 pounds of dry matter per inch per acre, that's kind of a widely accepted number there. We've seen between 400 and 500 pounds of dry matter per inch per acre on our pasture here, but let's assume that 300 number. We would need about 5 inches of growth on this 10th to 12th of an acre, 5 inches per day to have enough for these 41 ewes. We're probably overestimating a little bit. Look at that thistle. I mean, that's on me there, but I have seen them eat these leaves off this. There's something in there that they need. Don't know what it is, but yeah. So rather than bush hog this, let's let the animals do the work for us first, and we can probably get this down to where we just come in with a regular mower then instead of the bush hog. That would be great. But let's let them do what they do on this for a little bit of time here, and we'll check back in a little bit later. Okay, we're out here just about, actually not quite 48 hours later on this little section here. I mean, look look at this impact. So many things we can take away from this. Let's just do a brief walk here and talk. You see some of the leaves that they've stripped off of the thistle. Obviously haven't taken the thistle down, but that's all right. These things are like trees. Strip that burdock plant completely off. The leaves are gone on that. I mean, this was, you guys saw, maybe I'll do a before and an after shot here. Give us time to see that before and then after. And walking down from here, look at the pigweed. That's spiny amaranth. That's pigweed. Look at how they've stripped that off and eaten it. Just incredibly undesirable, we're taught, for livestock, right? This stuff here, now this is interesting. What they've left here, this is called Jimson weed, and this is toxic to sheep. These little fruits here, try not to touch one, those are called the devil's apple, appropriately. But it's interesting, right? They have left all those. They know that those are toxic. Now, a word on that. Sheep will self-select. Animals, ruminants, grazing animals will self-select. We can see that here. Again, look at all the spiny amaranth. That's all pigweed that they have just stripped bare. But what we found here, like when we've gotten into trouble, the only time we've gotten into trouble with noxious or poisonous plants is when we've brought animals in. We've sourced animals from different states. We've been down south for some of our St Croix stock. It was last year, and brought them up, and I think they just, some of these noxious weeds they didn't have down there, and so we did lose a mama during lambing this year to what we think was poisoning to poison hemlock. But interesting how they've left this stuff alone. Again, almost like a tree there with how big this is. But you know, this area here, I mean, they've just bent these plants over, and I mean, this was completely packed and overgrown with weeds. Again, there's that Jimson weed they left standing, and a lot of spiny amaranth. Now this is that area where we feed the hay, or we did last year in the wintertime. So you get all of that compaction and high nitrate stuff that brings on that pigweed and that spiny amaranth every year. And so they've come in here and look at this clearing job. So let's talk about, because I want to pass this along, here's the observation that I'm making. And again, on this channel here, you're going to hear real world stuff. Okay, this isn't some theory, pie in the sky from a guru somewhere. Okay, this is real world. What I'm seeing here, I went back and measured, and we've got about a 22 by 195 foot area here that we have grazed here for about 48 hours. And so that means we're at right at about 1/10 of an acre here on this little section in 48 hours. Now, with this level of growth, you guys heard me doing math, 3.5% of body weight, of live weight, is what they need in dry matter per day. And so if you went off the conservative figure of 300 pounds per inch per acre, we should have been able to stay on this for 4, 5, 6 days with the level of height that we had here. But here's what I'm noticing, and here's what I want to pass along. We've never run sheep at this high a stock density, and I think we're probably around 40,000 pounds. We got some yearlings in here that probably aren't quite 100 pounds. 41 ewes in here, so you know, for the sake of ease, let's just say 4,000 pounds. So you know, we're running right at that, about 40,000 pounds live weight animal per acre in here. And we have never we've run cattle and sheep together at that stocking rate, but I've never had just sheep. And so here's what I'm noticing. It's the level of trample. And when you think about it, you know, I think this is a greater level of trample than we see with cattle. You know, why would that be? Well, it's simply because, you know, for every 1,000 pounds of cattle, you've got 4 hooves that are going. Look at them hammering that. I don't know what that stuff is there, but they like it. But you've got 4 hooves for every 1,000 pounds of cattle. For every 1,000 pounds of sheep, I've got 10 times the number of hooves. You know, because I'm running 10 sheep per 1,000 pounds of animal. And so you've got 40 hooves versus 4 hooves on the cattle. Now, I think, having said that, we have a greater level of impact here and a greater level of trample, which I think really lends itself to sheep are just a much better fit if you want to improve your ground, you want to go the regenerative ag route, and you know, you want to see a much greater level of impact and interaction with the land. And soil health, and again, that trample. Look at the trample. I mean, there's just tons of it. You know, I would say, so how do we estimate that? I mean, I'd say at least half. We had at least half getting trampled here. We never saw that level of trample when we were running mostly cattle with sheep at that 40,000 pounds of live weight stock density. So, you know, we're not up, you know, mob grazing by any means with these guys. We're not to that level here, but I think a much greater level of impact with the sheep versus the cattle. So why don't more people run sheep in regenerative systems with, you know, why don't we see more of a mob graze type of situation with sheep? Well, it's because they're so hard to contain. And, you know, cattle, single hot wire, and the sheep here, you know, so how did we do this? Well, we just strung the electronet all the way around the outside here. And again, I'm just floored by this spiny amaranth, the way that they took the leaves off that. You know, with that, cattle won't come anywhere near that stuff. Will that, there's a chicory there they completely stripped as well. That's anthelmintic plant there that they're needing right now this time of the year. You know, will that kill the spiny amaranth, not letting it photosynthesize? I would imagine that amaranth will pop back here, but you know, one of the reasons we did this is I wanted to bring them in here so that I can mow now. We'll come in and it's very, very easy mow now. I'll probably do most of this with a push mower versus I just didn't want that big, huge bush hog in here, you know, swinging that thing around into the fences and the buildings and everything else. Is kind of a lot of horsing around. So the point here is I think nets can be a great fit if you're willing to horse around with hauling and setting up the nets ahead of time. You can get your stock density up on sheep. I think that's another advantage to these small farms and these small operations. Again, you know, 3, 4, 5 acres, if you've got it, you can do so much with sheep on that type of acreage, rotating them around, developing systems that are repeatable and that work. It doesn't have to be rocket science, you know. Man has been interacting with the pasture and with sheep and ruminants and pasture for thousands of years. and it works. There's a reason why it's persisted, because it works. And making meat off of grass here. So we're going to actually get these guys moved. I'm gonna take them down the other side. We've got another paddock out there. I think there is kind of an art to, you know, yeah, they're not interested in this Jimson weed, but I still, I don't want them to get so hungry where they kind of start to test the boundaries here. So it's, you know, there's an art to it. Let's get them on the move. Okay, here we go. We'll get this net out of the way, and let's get them on the move there. They're ready. Oh, come on, leggers. That's our scraggler back there, and we'll, I got Ev over there on the other side. Let's run them kind of slow, Ev. Let's give them a little bite here. Oh, they're on the move. We're going right through there. Another paddock set up, but I'm okay with them kind of taking their time here today, no hurry. We've got some really tall stuff just to the right of the barns there. I bet you they'll go that direction, and I'm all right with that. We can give them a minute to get into that good stuff. Now we're gonna put them over here on this fence line. We got some shade today. Again, these mamas, they're pretty well worn down. Let's see our patch of clover there that they're hitting. But they're just coming off of weaning, so they've put all of this work into raising these lambs on grass. And you know, they get pushed out here with you know, some of them twins, triplets. Okay, well they're gonna go right in here without much coaxing. The point today, the takeaway today, is that when we see sheep at a higher stock density, how high? For us, it's about 40,000 pounds of live weight animal per acre. When we get to that point with sheep alone, we must account for some trample. I was not doing that. When our stock density goes up with sheep, we need to say, okay, half of that, if we're above that stock density, half that's going to be trample. You know, and somehow having a way to account for that trample is the point here today. That's what we saw, real world example. One thing worth noting as we talk about the higher stock densities, maybe mob grazing, if you will. We talked about this before, but this is more of a tool that we employ here on the farm versus a continuous grazing strategy. I think when you're using higher stock densities continuously, you have some challenges there in terms of livestock performance. The automatic water is filling here, nice cold water, and we've got some shade underneath these trees. They've got a massive multiflora rose bush there. I don't know why. There's a few that are already into that thing. I don't know why, but they just love the leaves off of that thing. I'd rather that those things were not around here. But you know, on a day like today, they're getting feed and they're getting some shade underneath that thing. So carry on, ladies. The chicory, red clover. It's going to be some good stuff for them here to get back in condition. The goal here is to get them in tip-top shape again for when we hit November breeding. Actually, this year we might go beginning of December to give us that May lambing. We talked about that. We lambed last year on tax day, just maybe a hair early. I want to see some green grass prior to lambing. I'm just a huge fan of sheep in rotational grazing systems. I think they're a better fit than cattle in multiple ways. A little less work with cattle on the fence side because you can use that single hot, but just more multiplication there, more impact. Just they're going to eat a wider variety of species. We're shepherds here, we're not cowboys, so know that. All right, this side, checking out the mineral, looks pretty good here. OH, that acid neutralizer, looks like they were hitting that pretty good. And then wow, look at the salt, and look at the NA. We just filled the NA in the V4. So obviously something with electrolytes, which makes sense, right? It's super hot. They're trying to rebalance. Looking at this, they've got 3 or 4 shade trees down through here. Really good stuff that we're on, a mix of the taller and the shorter stuff. A little more horse nettle than I'd like to see. Ironweed, that doesn't excite me, but all the clover and chicory does. So we'll focus on that today. Another spiny amaranth. Hopefully they'll strip that down and get what they need. It's a good day on the ranch. Thanks for hanging out today. Another hot one. We'll talk to you next time. Be blessed. Take care.